Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. And it looks like Joe Biden's Gestapo. It's at it again, and of course, it's now punishing our southern border patrol, who actively are arresting cartel members who are coming across the country's southern border and arrested them. Why are they being investigated? Well, apparently they were too rough on the drug cartel. People, when they were arresting them, we should have handled them with a little bit more care. Absolutely ridiculous that this administration has contempt for the American citizen as much as it does, as it continues to protect those who are willing to do harm to this nation by coming across the southern border. As these gang members, cartel members, and all these people continue to flood our border with fentanyl and other drugs that destroy communities across this country. That Biden administration, the regime, continues to allow it, and they continue to punish the Border Patrol for daring to stop it. You should be asking yourself one important question. Why is it we are adding in 87,000 new IRS agents in the country, but we can't add any more to the southern border? I wonder why. I wonder if it's because they hate the citizen of this nation more than they actually do the unlawful entry into this country? Well, I think the pudding explains itself with the way it's all laid out here. So let's go and take a look at this story. This will probably infuriate you as it did me as I was reading earlier. Coming to it from the Gateway Pundit says Biden's FBI investigating Border Patrol agents, arrest of criminals on the Southern California beach. Wild crowd in Mexico cheers. They cheered him on as they were arresting him. So here's the people over Mexico cheering the Border Patrol agent for arresting this dude. Border agents in Southern California arrest what appeared to be smugglers while a crowd on the Mexican side of the border cheer. This is the U.S. border today. Massive invasion is occurring and our border agents are being attacked. And of course, here's the purpose they have, which was fantastic. And this is what the Biden administration is doing here today. We found out that Border Patrol agents are being investigated by the FBI to see if they were too rough on the smugglers. The FBI is investigating an incident captured on a viral video where Border Patrol agents appeared to physically take down an alleged smuggler in California. The Daily News Foundation learned the video showed an incident that happened Sunday when the Border Patrol agents were working to apprehend two migrants who swam around the border wall in Imperial Beach, California. The U.S. Customs and Border Patrol said in the statement today the migrants actively resisted and assaulted the agents, and the agents used in less than lethal devices. Border Patrol earlier told the DCNF that it couldn't comment on incident due to ongoing FBI investigation. The FBI San Diego field office confirmed the investigation and to the DCCNF. The FBI is aware of the situation involving the two Customs and Border Patrol agents that occurred on Sunday, August 21st, near Imperial Beach, California, and it is investigating the assault on federal officers. We will review all the facts in the incident to determine what federal response is warranted as we are ongoing manner. We have no further comment. The FBI office said it's clear to all Americans that the Biden administration ends or signs on our ends on the sides of crime and against a country. They investigate law enforcement doing their jobs to further break down the rule of law in the U.S. Good men and women will lead the ranks of law enforcement if they are continuously challenged for their efforts to stop crime. So there you have it, guys. The FBI is investigating. Of course, the Border Patrol agents who took down smugglers at the border should be no surprise to you that this administration, this regime loves unlawful list. And they like to punish the U.S. taxpayer citizen. And a state that's been trending Democrat for the last several election cycles is now becoming solidly Republican. As we speak, and the Democrats are starting to freak out. We're going to take a deep dive into the numbers here. We're going to see how Democrats really are starting to panic. Alright, let's dive right in here. More and more pundits are recognizing that something absolutely astounding is happening in the great state of drumroll, Nevada. For the last several presidential cycles, Nevada, of course, has been designated swing state, one that's just as likely to vote for either presidential candidate. But pundits have increasingly recognized that over the last few election cycles, Nevada actually has been swinging way to the left. It's voted for the Democratic presidential candidate for 5 of the last 7 elections. The former crooked Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid's influence of the Clark County political machine was very, very significant. And he helped shape trends that were clearly moving leftward in the state. And yet, Something has been happening in Nevada. It's really fascinating stuff. More and more pundits are recognizing that the Democrats are, in point of fact, losing Nevada. Take a look at this polling. It's shocking given those previous Democrat trends. Back in March, Democrat pundits were panicked to discover presidential polling numbers coming out of Nevada that were up until that point unfathomable. They found that if the election were held today, Trump would carry Nevada by 10 points, double digits be a blowout, and the Republicans were found winning all the way down the ticket in the Senate. Adam Laxalt. The Republican would trounce the Democrat by 7 points in the governor's race. The Republican Joe Lombardo would win by 3 over the Democratic competent Steve Sisolak. So that was back in March. Now here we are in August, and very little has changed. The latest Trafalgar polling has Laxalt beating his pathetic Democrat challenger by nearly 3 points. Now keep in mind, Guy Gang's very important. That's in the context of a cyclical polling low for Republicans. Republican candidates always poll poorly in the summer and early fall months, right before an election. Again, we talked about this in yesterday's video. In August leading up to the Virginia governor's race last year, Terry McAuliffe was crushing Glenn Lyon cut by 8 percentage points 46-38. Winsome Sears was losing by 6 points. The Attorney General's race had the Republican down by 8 points. Now of course, all three of them went on to win in a total blowout. It was a devastating, humiliating defeat for the Democrats. This happens every single election cycle. And so as you can see, even in the midst of the cyclical polling law, the Republican Laxalt is consistently beating his Democratic opponent for the Senate. Same with the governorship. Republican Joe Lombardo continues to maintain his 3-point lead over the Democrat incumbent, by the way. And given the historical trends that we see every election cycle, we can fully expect those leads to only grow from here. And this polling corroborates precisely what analysts had been observing for months now. Democrat voters are defecting in droves and becoming Republicans in Nevada. The latest analysis found that Democrats have been losing registered voters, get this, at 3 times the rate of Republicans. It's an astonishing hemorrhaging of voters. And again, notice you'll never, up until this point at least, you'll never hear about that from the lamestream media, legacy media, for obvious reasons. But this is a huge development. Democrats are defecting over to Republicans at a rate of 3-1 in comparison to the other way around, Republicans becoming Democrats though, the Liz Cheneys of the party, right? The rhinos simply going to their natural political home among the woke zombies, right? And no, to this trend has been continuing all the way up now until now through the summer months. So with this 3-1 defection discrepancy, we're now beginning to see pundit panic. Look at the headlines that are starting to come out of late the New York Mag. Nevada Democrats could lose it all in 2022. We're taking the Senate, we're taking the governorship all the way down the ticket. It could be a Republican sweep akin to what we saw in Virginia. That's from the New York Mag from Bloomberg. Just shocking. Inflation buoys GOP as hopes to flip Senate seat, talking about Nevada, from the Washington Post. As economic worry grows, Democrats face weary Vegas voters, and on and on and on now. The legacy media is finally taking notice and they're starting to panic. But it may all be too little too late, because what appears to be happening in Nevada, it's not simply a matter of voters rumbling about the economy. Nevada appears to be at the cusp of a massive political paradigm shift that promises change not merely Nevada, but the nation as a whole. Alright. What we have to understand is that what's happening in Nevada is the very same political paradigm shift that we've been seeing in Florida and in southern Texas. And if you're a regular to this channel, then you already know exactly the paradigm shift I'm talking about. It is the mass defection of Latino voters away from the Democrats. As it turns out, the populism of Trump and the MAGA movement is attracting Latino voters in droves. I mentioned this to you in another video. Pollster Rich Barris. He has polling data that shows that Kari Lake may take the Latino vote in Arizona, which is gigantic. I mean, Kari Lake, the ultra-mega gubernatorial candidate for the great state of Arizona, is poised to get the majority of the Latino vote. Me just have to let that hit you in terms of how stunning that is. That means that the Latina defection that began in southern Florida, and that moved to the Rio Grande Valley districts via Mayra Flores, is now moving in Arizona. Again, this is absolutely amazing stuff. So all of this is to say that looks like the Democrats are now losing Nevada. And when you combine that with their loss of other swing states like Florida, and Iowa and Ohio, all of which are now solidly red, we're looking at the potential political paradigm shift for the nation as a whole for generations to come. Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below